Good, so welcome everyone. Really, I always want to say really good to see you. Of course, I can't see you. What I can see is 10 Mitras to be in the room. You can't see them yet, you will see them in a moment. It's really exciting for us because this is our first public event. Really wonderful. It doesn't feel right to call you members of the public. You're, Mitras to be, friends. Yeah, it's really lovely to see you all. But for us, it's really lovely that we're the first time we've got people in the shrine room. So let me just, for everyone, just to give you a sense of the shape of the evening, and then I'm going to tell you some more details. Yeah? So first of all, I'm going to introduce the evening to you. Then I'm going to hand over on Zoom to Suryagupta, who's going to talk about what being a Mitra means, and we'll say more about that in a moment. Then we're going to hear about the Mitras to be. They're in the room with us at the moment, all at 2 meters distant, all of them looking very well, slightly nervous, dare one say, and that's how it should be. Yeah. So you're going to be introduced to them by the Mitra conveners, the men and women who are responsible for people becoming Mitras at the London Buddhist Centre. You'll be introduced to them. I think they're going to be talking from the reception room. We're trying to have as few people as possible in the shrine room so that we can keep at a social distance. So you'll hear about that. Then we'll probably have a little break just so that you can stretch your legs for a moment. Not very long, just a few minutes as we always do in a Mitra ceremony. And then we'll come back to me again and I'll just say a little bit more about the puja. Then we'll have the ritual itself and then we'll finish the ritual at some point. So that's the basic shape of the evening. So of course, the first thing I want to do is welcome you. I've been welcoming the Mitras to be. This is my first experience of trying to talk to you. Hello, on your sofa, in your room, looking on your phone, wherever you are, and talk to you. So welcome all of you and welcome the 10 of you who are going to be Mitras to be. I'm hoping that many of the Mitras to be have invited their friends, have invited their family. Normally we have a crowded room here at the London Buddhist Centre, but of course we can't have a crowded room. And we have, often we have people's families. And for me, it's really lovely when we have people's families because they're completely new to Buddhism very often and completely new to Buddhist ritual. So has anyone invited anyone of their family? Hands up. Oh yeah, good, good. So I hope they're all here. So welcome to you, particularly if you're a friend or a family of the Mitras to be, and welcome to any of you who are new to the London Buddhist Centre, virtually or in person. Welcome to you. That's really, really good. Especially again, welcome if you've never done a Buddhist ritual before. I'm going to say a little tiny bit about ritual. I'm going to have to be careful not to say too much, but yeah, welcome to everyone. Yeah, I hope you're all well. I hope you're all well. I hope you're well physically. I hope you're well emotionally and you're okay. I had a very moving conversation today with a friend of mine's father who's has got COVID, and he was just saying, how frightening it is. How frightening it is, that you're suddenly getting a temperature, not having problems breathing. It's very, very moving talking to him. And one of the things he said, which I found really moving, is he was just saying how wonderful the paramedics were. He got frightened and short of breath with the temperature. He rang the paramedics. He said they were there in 10 minutes, and he just said they were just so good. And he was, you know what it's like. You can imagine if it was me, I don't want to make a fuss. I don't want to be a burden. Perhaps I'm not ill enough. How we can all be like that. And he was saying that to them, and they were saying, look, that's just fine. If you feel ill, just ring us. So yeah, I felt very moved by his situation, and I can imagine that being multiplied across the world. And yeah, very appreciative of all those people helping in whatever way they can. I'm sure you're aware of, and I'm aware of, and perhaps we're not aware of it enough, that so much suffering in the world. So whatever you think about ritual, That's all you need to do. If this is like your first time to ritual, all you need to do is think, actually, we're going to do this ritual and I don't really know what it means. It doesn't matter what it means. I'm just going to wish people well as I do it. I'm going to wish the 10 Mitras to be well. I'm going to wish everyone well whilst I'm doing it. Wouldn't it be, I don't know how many we've got, Ipali, just now tuning in. So we've got 130 people tuning in. I find that so good because you couldn't, even if we could, even if this was pre-COVID, we couldn't get 130 people in the shrine room. So we've already bigger than we could be. So it's really, really lovely to see every. I always want to say to see everyone. All I can actually see is this tripod in front of me, a little white light that doesn't even wink at me. But I'm imagining you. So yeah, if you've never done a ritual before, it's the best time to do a ritual if you've never done a ritual before. They're always better if you've not done one before, because you're fresh to it, because you haven't got Buddhist ideas about it. You can just jump into it. All you need to know is we're not worshipping. The Buddha is not a god or any kind of god. He's not a supernatural being of any kind. He's an image of our human potential. This is a culmination of our road to full potential. So this figure behind me is an image of our full potential. But our full potential is much more than we could possibly imagine. Yeah, much more than we can possibly imagine. It's like the potential that an acorn has to be an oak tree. So we're the acorns, and this is our potential, our oak tree nature. Yeah. So we don't know what our potential is, not really. So when we're bowing to this figure, we're bowing to our potential. We're not bowing to any kind of supernatural deity. In a certain sense, that's all you need to do. So you can just jump in. You can just enjoy it. You can just wish everybody well and jump in. Yeah. And for us, of course, at the London Buddhist Centre, this is a very, very significant historic event. So this is the first time we've had Mitra ceremonies online before. This was unimaginable even a few months ago. So for us, that's very important. And I hope it feels significant for you. We're trying to make sure we follow the government guidelines as carefully as we can. So we've had quite a procedure for people even getting into the building. We've got little crosses and marks where people can stand. We set out the room in here with all the mats socially distanced. We're going to be doing a little bit of chanting, not as much as we usually do in our ritual, but I've asked everybody in the room, David over there, who's one of our tech people, Ipali behind there, who's our tech person, I've asked them and the 10 Mitras to chant down, keep it not quiet, but certainly not chant out, because we want to make sure we follow the guidelines. But there will be some chanting. And I hope that you'll join in online. So this isn't Buddhist television, yeah? It would be, anyway, it's not Buddhist television. So what I'd like is the more you join in with this at home, the more you'll feel part of it. And don't worry too much if you don't understand it. That's fine. Just think of it as like going to see, I don't know, Italian opera for the first time, and you've no idea what they're singing, but you just get into the music of it. You don't need to know, So just see if you can join in if you can. Of course, if you don't want to join in, that's fine. And many of you might feel a bit nervous because there's your flatmate in the next room with a glass to the door. There's your mother in the kitchen or the children around or something. So you could just do it in your mind, or you just mutter it or whatever. But if you can join in, if you want to join in, I'd really recommend that you do. And I'm aware that we're coming into evening, so if you've got flux on your computer or on your phone, you might want to put that on so that you're not just glare. Many of us are I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm in Zoom meetings a lot, yeah? And you might feel that you're online a lot. So you might want to either dim the screen, you might want to put your flux on. If you have a shrine at home, what I'd suggest, as I'm talking now, that you light your own shrine. We've got this beautiful shrine here at the Buddhist Centre. It's just sad that we can't have a full room, but it's beautiful to have the shrine here. It's even more beautiful to have our 10 Mitras to be here. That's even more beautiful there. And they are looking pretty light themselves, little candles themselves. So, you might want to light your own shrine. And when You might want to burn incense, light candles. You might want to put your phone or your laptop. People have been sending us photographs of a laptop on their shrine with one of us teaching. Yeah. Or if you might want to just sort of flip the lid down and just do the whole evening to your own shrine and take part like that. But however you do it, see if you can take part as much as you like. It is a ritual. It's a sacred event. By sacred, I mean properly serious. None of us understand life, not really. We like, for instance, we talk happily about the mind, but we don't know what the mind is. Nobody knows what the mind is. It's the big problem in philosophy. So actually, I was going to say we're surrounded by mysteries. Actually, we are a mystery, even to ourselves. So what do you do when things are mysterious? You light candles, you put out flowers, you open to the mystery. Yeah? So the more you can do that this evening, the more you'll get out of it. You're mysterious, I'm mysterious. It's pretty mysterious how we're managing to have 130 people and Suryagupta zooming in, and you'll hear Maitreyabandhu reading later on. He'll be zooming in from upstairs, and the Mitra conveners are next door. They'll be, all that's mysterious enough. I don't know how that works. Anybody I've no idea how that works. Yeah. So we're awash with mysteries, and this is the response to mystery. It's to light candles. It's to beautify, because we want to open to the mystery around us. Yeah. So see if you can really take part, and remember that any ritual is an imaginative experience. So at the moment, I don't need to imagine the 10 mitras to be. You will see them. It's a bit weird for you because you haven't seen them, but you will see them in a minute. I can see them. They're actually here. They're waving to me now. Some of them were saying, "I'm really glad to be doing it here, not in my little flat alone." And so I'm really delighted that they could all come. So ritual is always an imaginative experience, but it's also a communal experience. So there's 130 of us now, is there? How many of us? 160 of us now. So that's fabulous. So there's 160, I don't know, people from all around the world probably. I'll get Ipadi to have a look in a moment and see who's. So do tell us if you're not in the UK. We've been having people from Barbados, from rural America, from Belgrade, from India. So if we can just imagine, and we just need to take part in the ritual, just imagine there's 160, probably more of us gathering together. We're gathering together in our mind. And if we can just wish each other well, Buddhism says that what you think has an effect. It's not just sort of chemical messages in your brain. It's having an effect that when I think about somebody, it's as if my mind reaches out to touch them. So Suryagupta's there, and I can't see at the moment because I'm looking to the camera. But as soon as I say her name, my mind reaches out to touch her. She's here in my mind. As soon as I say her name, and those of you who know her, she's there in your mind, and you will see her in a moment as well. But see if you can imagine us. Imagine us together. Ritual is an imaginative practice. Imagine us together, a community connecting with the mystery of life and saying in that mystery, I want to be open to things. I want to love people. I want to be compassionate. I want to tell the truth. I want to discover the truth. I might not understand what these words mean in the ritual. I might not even particularly relate to them, but I know what I really want. I want to fulfill my potential, and the 10 mitras to be want to fulfill their potential. I want to do that in the deepest way I can. Yeah. So just see if you can imagine each other. Imagine wishing well. So it's a big moment for these mitras to be. So just see if you can imagine it. Yeah. So stay tuned. Take part. Don't just watch it, but see if you can take part in your mind, with your heart, as much as you can, with your cup of tea, perhaps. Nothing wrong with that. So see if you can take part as much as you can. Now, let me just check if I need to tell you anything else. Not at the moment. So I'm going to hand you over to Suryagupta, who's the chair of the London Buddhist Centre. So I'm going to hand you over. We're going to zoom over to her just now. So Suryagupta.
Thank you very much, Maitreyabandhu, and for helping us sort of get into this evening's celebrations, orientating us and helping us connect imaginatively with each other. So, so warm welcome from me as well. It's fantastic to be here with our 10 Mitras to be, and all of you who are tuning in. So yeah, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. And also if you're the friends and family of our Mitras to be, a real warm welcome to you as well. So, and I love hearing all the different places that people might be, you know, sort of tuning in from. So whether you're local in London or whether you're, you know, the other side of the world, welcome. So I'm going to say a bit about tonight's ceremony and, you know, and what it means to be a Mitra. But before that, I just wanted to say some thank yous because it takes, as you've got a sense of that from Maitreyabandhu already, it takes quite a lot to get this event together. And there's been people working really tirelessly behind the scenes to get the centre ready. And I just want to say thank you to them. Hippolyte, is in the shrine room right now, and he's been coordinating this event, doing the tech, running errands, contacting people, really, and working with a whole team of volunteers and team to help get the centre ready. So I want to say real thank you to Hippolyte and to our volunteers and team members who have just been really committed to making this event, you know, work really well tonight. So thank you. And also to Maitreyabandhu, of course. So many of you will be very familiar with Maitreyabandhu. He's sort of constructed this event together. He sort of thought it through and done all that's needed to happen to make it happen too. So, and also I just want to say thank you to Maitreyabandhu as well, because I was off for a few weeks ill, and Maitreyabandhu's really sort of held the fort in terms of all the online events and, you know, being really creative and passionate about the teaching online and really reaching out to many, many people. So thank you very much, Maitreyabandhu, as well. And I'm glad you're going to be having a bit of a rest this week too. So that's our thank yous, my initial thank yous to those who have made this event possible and made it really possible for our 10 Mitras to be to take this really very significant step. I remember when I became a Mitra many moons ago, and it's still there in my mind, the sort of excitement and nervousness and sort of anticipation of what it might mean for me to take this step. So I sort of really do empathise and connect with our Mitras to be, and I'm there sort of, well, as we all are, those of us watching this, sort of willing you on and really supporting you at this moment. So, so yes, I'm going to be conducting the ceremonies for, and I'm going to read your names so that we all know who I'm talking about. So this is Alex, Andrew, Britta, Gareth, Ian and Nigel, Philippa, Paul, Ruby and Simon. So all of you will be becoming Mitras today, and becoming a Mitra means really making a commitment to discovering more fully, more deeply, what it means to be a Buddhist. It means you're saying that you are a Buddhist. It means you're saying the teachings have touched you enough to feel that actually I am a Buddhist, and I want to be, in a way, even more of a Buddhist. I want to discover what it is to actually have the teachings influence my life more and more, to live the teachings out more and more. You're sort of saying that you're ready to do that and you're ready to explore it. So that's what it means. And it means, technically, the word Mitra means friend, and your friend to those of us who are ordained. So if you see me, myself and Maitreyabandhu have got one of these cases, it means that we've spent years sort of training to be ordained, and then we finally got ordained, we've got a new name, we've got this caser, and really what that means, being ordained, is that we've committed ourselves for the rest of our lives to live out the teachings, and not just live them out for our benefit, but live them out for our benefit and the benefit of the world. We've committed ourselves to help in whatever way we can alleviate the suffering of the world, alleviate the suffering, our own suffering, and that in the world. If you really take that in, it's a huge commitment that we've made. And it's a vast vision. It's a vast, big vision to do that. And but part of the way we do that is by, you know, connecting with people who also want to discover what it means to be a Buddhist, and to support really you to discover the teachings for yourself, to discover what benefits they have for you. So being a Mitra means you're a friend to those of us in the order, your friend to the Buddhist order, and that means that, you know, you'll help out in activities if that's what you choose to do, but it will mean that we will befriend you, as it were. We'll support you in understanding the teachings more, and you help us in whatever way feels appropriate for you, you know, to fulfill the kind of vision that we have at the centre. And the vision is, it's vast, but it's very simple as well. It is to do whatever we can to alleviate our own suffering, and those suffering of people around us and the world. And of course, that means fulfilling our potential. It means discovering who we really are, who we can be, discovering the gifts that we have, that we can then, you know, access those gifts, develop those gifts, and contribute to others. In a way, you're here because you've already felt that. You've already benefited from the teachings from our community, from the inspiration of the Buddha. You've already benefited from that, our Mitras to be. And that's why you're saying, okay, I'm a Buddhist. I think I'm a Buddhist, and I now want to discover more and more what that means practically, you know, in your life. So I'm delighted to be witnessing this, to be conducting this ceremony for you. Well, you've become you're becoming a Buddhist, taking this step, this very significant step on Dharma Day. So Dharma, we've been celebrating the whole day with talks and readings. Dharma means teachings, it means the practices, it means the truth, ultimately it means the truth. In a way, the teachings and the practices are just means for us to discover the truth. And we celebrate this day because we want to remember that, well, actually the truth is a very, very precious thing, and it needs to be discovered. And the historical Buddha, the Buddha that's on the shrine, well, 2,500 years ago, he discovered the truth, and he discovered the path, the teachings and the practices and the views and ideas that would help people really discover it for themselves. The thing about Buddhism is that you can read about it, you can study it, but really, in order for it to become part of you, in order for you to feel the benefits of it, you have to sort of live it out yourself. You have to understand it for yourself. And in a way, that's what we celebrate today. We celebrate not just the Buddha, the historical Buddha, discovering the teachings and becoming enlightened and sort of outlining the path. We're also marking the fact that he was able to communicate that to another person. He was able to communicate that to someone who, you know, did not go on exactly the same journey as he did. He was able to say, this is what, you know, this is the teachings, this is the truth. By practicing in these ways, you too can realize it for yourself. And he did that firstly for his 5 friends, and they, you know, discovered the truths on themselves, and they sort of, it transformed them irreversibly. You know, they discovered fully their potential, and then they in turn sort of shared that teachings with others who wanted to also discover their potential. What I like about Buddhism is that it is an invitation. It is very much like, well, here, this is what I've seen, this is what I've discovered, benefited for myself, and an open invitation for if you want to explore that too, then here's the teaching. So it's a very lovely lineage, it's a very lovely tradition of people passing it on in friendship, really, in friendship with each other, passing it on, passing on the teachings, and people, you know, having those discoveries for themselves. So it's a living tradition, it's a living lineage. And in a way, today we're witnessing that lineage being passed on by people that are Mitras to be, saying, yes, I'm a Buddhist, I want to discover the teachings for myself. And we're here in the order, those of us at the centre, Those of us in our community are here willing to share our experience with you, so that you can explore it and understand it more for yourself. So that's what it means to be a Mitra, a friend to the Buddhist order, and someone who's really taking on the teachings of themselves. And I very much hope, as it's Dharma Day, as it's the day we celebrate the discovery of the teachings and the communication of those teachings, I really hope that you remember as you go through life that there's always a teaching that's there available for you that can make a difference to your situation and those around you. That's what I love about the Dharma. I love the fact that, you know, there's always something, so that even if a teaching I've been practicing or trying to learn about doesn't seem like it fits to whatever I'm going through, then there's something else. There's another teaching. It's vast. The Buddha taught many teachings himself, but then because other people then learned the truth for themselves, they developed their own teaching as well. So it's a vast lineage for us to always to draw on, always to get inspiration from. And I very much hope, as you're becoming Mitras on this day, that you will remember that there's always a teaching that's available, no matter what your situation, no matter what your circumstance, no matter what your mood is, and no matter what's going on in your life or the lives of people around you. There will be a teaching that you can, or practice that you can, you know, sort of, that can help you in that situation, transform your relationship to that situation into something positive, into something creative. And we in the order, and us in the community, we're here to help you, guide you through that. So that's about the ceremony. What's also what I want to say is that, well, it's a joyous occasion. It's a joyous occasion, and it's a very simple ceremony, but it's a very joyous occasion. I know you're feeling a bit nervous, some of you, but I just encourage you to relax and remember, you know, what it means for you, to why you've taken this step, the benefits you've already received from practicing, and just enjoy it. So what will happen is that Maitreyabandhu will start the ritual, he'll start the puja, and at a certain point in that, I will basically call you up one by one, and you'll basically take an offering that's in front of the shrine. So there's 3 traditional offerings, and there's a flower, there's a candle to begin with, then an incense, and then there's a flower. And I had, just behind me, I've got my shrine here, and I had these offerings. I had all these flowers and the candles and the incense here overnight. I meditated in front of the shrine, and really just giving, you know, sort of positive vibes, as it were, to these offerings. Then they were whisked away to the center, where they sat in front of the large shrine that you're seeing on your screens as well, that you'll see on your screens. So they've had really a lot of benefit from a lot of people's practice. Those people are practicing at the center, and then my own practice here. So you'll take an offering, and I'll just say what they all represent. So the candle represents the Buddha, represents enlightenment. Really, enlightenment is the light that sheds darkness. It's the light that sheds the darkness of ignorance. The world is suffering, and it's always suffered, and it's particularly suffering now, or we're particularly feeling it now, through ignorance, through unawareness, through what we don't understand, what we don't know. And when we have a light, you know, it just dispels that ignorance, and it shows us the way forward. And that's what the Buddha represents. He represents an enlightened being who was able to show the way forward, out of ignorance, out of confusion. And then you're going to offer a flower to the shrine, and the flower, really, it's beauty, isn't it? But the flower is very, very beautiful. But as we know, when we look at a flower, and over time, that beauty fades. It comes into being. We enjoy it coming into being. We enjoy the buds opening up. We enjoy the scent, and then it fades. And that really represents a very powerful teaching in Buddhism, the teaching of impermanence. You know, really helping us to appreciate the experience we're having, to be in the present and to notice what's happening in our experience, but also to know that things pass, that we can't hold on to experience. And we need to, you know, that the teaching really helps us to understand how to relate to our experience, knowing it's not going to be here forever, knowing that one day we too will fade like the flower. So beauty and impermanence, that's what the flower represents. It represents a teaching, Dharma. And then lastly, the incense. And of course, when we light an incense, we have this wonderful aroma that sort of spreads throughout. And in a way, in that sense, the incense represents the community, the spiritual community, the third jewel. There's three jewels: the Buddha jewel, the light, which is golden, the Dharma, which we're celebrating today, which is blue, which represents the teachings, the flower, and then the incense represents Sangha, the spiritual community, those really developed spiritual beings who we're following their inspiration, and also the community that we're part of, that you're joining today by saying you are a Buddhist. So incense, yes, it spreads the aroma, and it suggests the kind of aroma, the kind of beauty, the scent that comes from where people are practicing ethically together. In a way, when you know you're in a positive atmosphere because you feel it in your body, you sort of enjoy, you get benefits of that. And it's a bit like that with incense, you sort of know it's there and you can scent it, and in a way that's why the incense represents the spiritual community. So that's the ceremony. One by one, you'll come to the shrine, you'll take the candle, then the flower, then the incense, you'll place them at the shrine, and then you'll sit back down, and then we'll continue until all of you have done the offerings, maybe the 3 traditional offerings, and then we'll continue with the puja. We'll continue with the ritual, and then there's a kind of lovely end that you'll have today as well. So I'm going to hand over to our Mitra conveners now, who are going to tell us a bit about you. It's really lovely. One of the things I really enjoy is reading a bit about your story, why you came to the path, why you came to the Buddhist Center, why you started meditating, and why now is the time you feel you're ready. Now is the time you feel you want to make that commitment to discovering the teachings more. So our Mahamani will be talking with us about the women Mitras tonight, and then Amalie Yodin and Dayanatha will be sharing with us about the men Mitras. And I just want to thank you, our Mitra conveners, as well, for making this event possible. And it's our first time doing Mitra ceremonies virtually. It's also our first time that Amalie Yodin and Dayanatha will be officiating, as it were. Will be supporting you by reading or sharing a little bit about you. What happened yesterday is that Jayaka, who's been our Mitra convener, men's Mitra convener for 11 and a bit years, he stepped down after, it's a long time to really continue to carry out this role with such dedication, such loyalty, such love. And he stepped down yesterday, and we've sent him off from this particular role. And that was a really lovely thing to do. You can watch that on YouTube as well. And then Amalie Yodin and Dayanatha has really courageously, very happily stepped into this role. And we're delighted, I'm delighted that they've taken this step. And they're going to be the sort of doorway, really, for many men to really enter the Buddhist path, enter being able to discover what it really means to be a Buddhist. And they're going to be doing that with the same sort of commitment that Jayaka showed, and with their own particular personalities as well. I'm really looking forward to them to really sharing tonight a bit about you, and really helping men in all different situations, all different circumstances, making that connection, and their usual friendliness and openness. So that's the first for us tonight as well, to have Dayanatha and Amalie Yodin doing that. So I also want us to, as a community, to wish them well in their role. So I'm just going to say our Mitra to be's names again. So tonight we have the Mitra ceremonies of Alex, Andrew, Britta, Gareth, Ian, Nigel, Philippa, Paul, Ruby, and Simon. So we're all going to be rooting for you, wishing you well, and we're now going to hand over to our Mitra conveners to hear a little bit more about you.
So, hello, I'm Suryagupta, and I'm going to be introducing Philippa to you in her own words. So Philippa says, she says, I'm 26 and I first came to the LBC 4 years ago. For most of my life, I've been searching for something, but I never really knew what. The day I stepped into the LBC for my first meditation class, I felt instantly at home. And I walked out of the LBC that evening wearing someone else's shoes because someone had taken mine by mistake. But despite that, I felt for the first time a sense of true belonging. And I kept going back, even though I never did find my shoes. But I wasn't just searching for my shoes, I was searching for a new way of life. And Buddhism changed the direction of my life from that very day. And although it's taken me a few years to publicly declare this, to publicly declare my commitment to the path, I'm very happy to be doing this here now. And I'm very happy as well, Philippa.
So thank you, Suryagupta. My name's Mahamani, and I'm going to introduce Britta and Ruby, and I'm going to start with Britta to start with. So again, in her words. So she says, I first came to the LBC to meditate and calm my mind for free diving. I could not have imagined the extent to which this would shape my life. I immediately loved the atmosphere, the humour, and the relaxed warmth of everyone, but tried hard to avoid all the religious bits. Mantras in particular really made me cringe. Slowly, the effects of coming here started trickling into the rest of my life. I noticed being more in tune with and kinder to myself, other people, nature, and surroundings. The trees seemed to sway differently, and telling a white lie suddenly didn't sit so well. I was moved by experiences on retreat, and then during lockdown more recently, it became even clearer that this here is my Sangha. Immense gratitude to everyone at the LBC for keeping us all connected during this time, and especially for our study group. The friendships I formed here have a really special quality, meeting people who have a similar desire to look beyond, challenge themselves, and grow to become better beings. I feel privileged to be taught by all the wonderful teachers and can't wait to see where the adventure of exploring the Dharma will lead. As for the mantras, they turned out to be the thing I now miss the most. That's Britta. And next, Ruby. So Ruby says, I've been living in a recovery house for women in East London for a little over a year now. Life in the big city is lively, and I've found it overwhelming at times. A friend of mine introduced me to the Buddhist Centre shortly after I moved here. I remember going through the mindfulness of breathing practice with David Mitra and listening to people talk about their feelings after each stage of the meditation. Through hearing other people talking about their suffering, I was able to become aware of my own. A really hitting moment occurred when I realised that although the thoughts differed, the suffering being expressed was the same, the addictions, obsessions, and attachments. Suddenly, I didn't feel alone anymore, as we could all relate and find connection on this very basic human level. For someone who has struggled all her life with the us versus them paradigm, this was groundbreaking for me to acknowledge, and I'm very grateful to all the people who were present that night. Buddhism speaks in a language that I understand, and this helps me to identify as a Buddhist. Meeting and getting to know the Sangha has been very humbling. Everyone is so honest, kind, and loving. I'm excited and ready to deepen my level of commitment to Triratna by becoming a Mitra. So that's Ruby and Britta, and I'm really delighted they're becoming Mitras this evening.
Hello there. Hello, I'm Dan Arthur, and I'll be introducing Ian, Nigel, Andrew, and Paul. It's been a real delight to meet these men, especially in these difficult times, and it's a real honour that they're becoming Mitras tonight, so I'm really looking forward to that. So just let's start off with Ian. So Ian says he's a native Dubliner and was born and raised there, spent a bit of time in Australia as well, and he works in information governance for an insurance company. However, he says his career is just really a way to earn money to fund other aspects of his life. Also, he says he's separated and just completing an amicable divorce. But he first encountered the Dharma in '94 at the Dublin Meditation Centre. There he was doing a master's in philosophy and went to a meditation class with a friend out of curiosity. He says he was intrigued from the very beginning and felt like he had come home. He then practiced on and off with various Triratna centres over the years and did some Zen practice as well. And then more recently, he did a summer retreat here at Vidrasana in 2018 and has been coming regularly to the LBC. Last autumn, he joined a study group led by the marvellous, he says, Maitreyabandhu and Padmapalita, which he says has been great. He's now got a regular meditation practice, and finally he says he asked to become a Mitra because I want to deepen my practice and commit publicly to the Triratna community. So that's great. So that's you. And next we have Nigel. Nigel lives right here in Bethnal Green. It's been a long road for him, coming to the point of saying I'm a Buddhist. It's taken him quite a few years to discover the Buddha and the Dharma, and he's had quite a few attempts at it. I think he's been coming for about 20 years or so to the centre. But 2 years ago, he was in Rishikesh, in the foothills of the Himalayas, and he completed his Hatha Yoga teacher training. This changed him in more ways than he cared to admit at the time, and a teacher on the course helped him explain some Buddhist concepts and how it related to yoga, and it was his suggestion to give Buddhism another try. So he came back to the centre and did the Life with Full Attention course, and suddenly a penny dropped for him. From then on, things have improved further, and the Dharma just changed the way he sees the world. He now finds the positive in situations, even if at the time it doesn't feel like it. He can let go of more negative thoughts, and he's learned how to be more content. He's now also in a study group, which he's very grateful for in many ways, feeling part of something greater than himself, being with like-minded people. That's great, isn't it? So thank you, Nigel. Okay, so next we move on to Paul. And then Andrew. So Paul, he's been meditating for years before coming to the Buddhist Centre, but he never realised how much more there is to leading a spiritual life. He was pleasantly surprised to find himself moved by ritual and reverence and drawn to study ethics and become vegetarian. He wants to become a Mitra because Buddhism is slowly becoming an integral part of his life, because he wants to make a commitment to deepen his practice. His practice makes him feel more like himself, more comfortable in his own skin, less impulsive, but at the same time, more creative. His experience of beauty, nature, art, and music has become richer than he'd ever imagined. And he's now saying he's more appreciative of his friends and family. And Buddhism has made him think about the ethics of food, clothing, flying, even billing expenses to work. And he's found having a clear conscience very valuable. He says he's very grateful for the online Sangha, especially during the recent lockdown, and he hopes to be able to contribute to it positively. That's very nice. Okay, and finally, from me, we'll go to Andrew. So Andrew's 56, and he's a psychologist. It's a psychologist professor, and he lives in Hackney. He said he first came to the Buddhist Center because a psychiatrist told him to. Unfortunately, he was having severe manic depression. And in a review after 12 months of individual therapy, he said he'd made great progress, but needed to go on to group therapy. There was a waiting list for 6 months. So an immediate alternative was to come to the Buddhist Center and to learn meditation. So he was a bit perplexed and a bit skeptical, but he did book on to the next course led by the lovely Dayabhadra, he says. And the psychiatrist turned out to be more prophetic than ever he would have imagined, because since coming to the center, going on retreats and doing regular classes and courses for over 5.5 years, it's made a massive difference to his life. Recently, he says that a famous producer, musician, Andrew Weatherall, died, unfortunately, and he was the same age as him and a big inspiration to him. So in meditation during that Dharma night, he became fully and physically aware of our idea of life as a dewdrop on a blade of grass. He felt the full gravity of impermanence, truth, love, and beauty. And in strange tears of sadness and joy, he decided he had no more time to lose, and he wanted to fully commit to the Buddhist path. So thank you very much, Andrew, Paul, Ian, and Nigel. Wish you best of luck for today.
Yes, and I'll be introducing 3 more men this evening. So I'll be introducing Gareth, Simon, and Alex. So it's been a real pleasure getting to know these men a bit better, and a real pleasure to see them become Mitras as well. Such a fine bunch of men. So first to introduce Gareth. So Gareth is 32 years old. He's a software developer living in Leigh-on-Sea, and he's been coming to the LBC since 2017. He grew up in Leigh-on-Sea, and he was interested in technology and languages from a young age. And he was first introduced to the Dharma while studying religious education for his GCSEs. And he studied a number of religions for that course. And he developed a particular fondness for Buddhism through his studies and introduction to meditation in class. So between then and rediscovering Buddhism, Gareth felt that Buddhism was most aligned to his beliefs and worldview, but he did not consider himself to be a Buddhist. In 2016, he says a wonderful therapist asked if he had any spiritual beliefs, and planted the seed for him to explore his interest in Buddhism. Sometime later, Gareth attended a local Buddhist temple for guided meditations, and he says he was looking to deepen his meditation experience by taking a retreat when he came across Vidrasana, the center's dedicated retreat center. He attended the retreat, and he then started coming to the LBC from then onwards. Gareth said he would like to become a Mitra to further deepen his involvement with the LBC and to continue his journey studying the Dharma. Buddhism has helped him to see the world more clearly, more positively, and has made him a better person. For that reason, it is something that he deeply cherishes. So that's Gareth. Then there's Simon. So Simon's a chef from North Wales, and he's now living in Mile End. So Simon, by the age of 35, was a heavy drugs and alcohol user, eventually becoming addicted. For a long time, he thought that his only solution out would be suicide. He says things started to change in 2015, when after a stay at a clinic to treat addictions, he went on a trip to the LBC lunchtime class for the first time, following a tip that he might find meditation helpful. He says he had no previous contact nor any interest in Buddhism at that time. Pretty quickly, he began attending classes regularly and noticed the effect of meditation on him, remembering during early experiences feeling that he was coming into contact with something much bigger than he thought he was there for. Gradually, his practice deepened, friendships within the Sangha grew, and he began discovering more of the Dharma through courses, retreats, contact with order members, and the LBC online resources. He says that during the past 5 years within the Sangha, he has met teachers and people who have inspired him to commit to the Dharma, to the point that he now wishes to mark his commitment to practicing within the Sangha by becoming a Mitra. So that's Simon. And then finally, there's Alex. So Alex is 46. He works in film production and he lives in Bethnal Green. And Alex says his story begins a little while after his return from an annual trip to Glastonbury. After an incredible week of music and connection, he had a deep feeling that he was living very much out of harmony. He had been chasing dreams and acting on values that were very much socially conditioned. You could call it a midlife crisis, he says. Detached, depressed, and full of angst, he says the attachment of his material possessions felt like a dense, heavy weight suffocating his soul, metaphorically speaking. He signed up for the Breathing Space MBCT course, led by the awesomely dry-witted Sangasiya. This wonderful course led him to investigate Buddhism further, and he was lucky enough to be accepted into a Mitra group led by Jayakan. The positive impact of engagement in the group study had been felt in all areas of his life. The group is now led by two wonderful teachers, Priyavajra and Sangajit, and I have made, so he says he's made some of lifelong friends in the process. He says Buddhism has enabled him to navigate the existential ocean of uncertainty. The metaphysical aspect of the Dharma feeds perfectly into his love for quantum mechanics. And he says he's deeply grateful for those. That's Alex. So congratulations to all of them.
Good. Thank you, Suryagupta, very much. Thank you. Thank you to the 4 Mitra conveners. Thank you very much. And it's really, really lovely to have the 10 Mitras to be here. You will see them in a moment. But yeah, really, really lovely. So what we're going to do now, I think we probably could do with a little bit of a break. I think people in here could do with a little tiny break. So let's just have a few minutes. Let's say 5 minutes. Go to the loo, whatever you need to do. Let's come back in 5 minutes' time, and I'll bring us back into the room. Yes, but just make yourself comfortable. Get what you need, because the ritual will go on for a little while. So if you're new to ritual, you might feel it goes on for quite a long while. So make sure you've got emergency cushions, tea, whatever you need. Yeah, and if you need to go to the loo, this is the moment. Okay, so we're going to mute in here for a moment so people can do what they need, and then we'll come back to you in a minute. So we're just gathering again. So when you're ready, we'll wait for a minute. We'll be still gathering a few of us to come back in. Here's Sanjay with his handheld phone. Sanjay, we've had so much help with all this, so it's really good. Let's hear, perhaps, where are people from? Let's just hear a bit more about who's here, because we want this to be as communal as it can possibly be. We've got 180 people just now. So even though we're here just together, just a few of us in this room, we're all connected to each other, 180 people tuning in on their phones, on their laptops, at home, sitting on their sofa, in their wherever. So let's just hear a few people where they're from.
There are people all over the UK, obviously, and then we have Ravine in Virginia and the USA.
Good heavens, Virginia! Wow, wonderful, yeah.
Nina in New York City.
Nina, lovely to see you again, Nina. You're becoming like a sort of known figure at the London Buddhist Centre. Every event we're saying, and there's Nina from New York City, our lovely alliterative ends.
Another this icon is Predrag in Belgrade.
Yeah, Predrag in Belgrade. Predrag was on the recent course, Life of Full Attention course, and he was showing us photographs of his mindful walk through Belgrade, which was just wonderful. It's like a new experience.
And the chat is a shower of congratulations and warmth towards Mitra. A lot of encouragement and support from the family.
Yeah, it would be lovely, wouldn't it? One day we'll get it sorted so there's a big screen here. You can see all the all the comments pouring in. Actually, what I hope will happen is instead of that, we'll actually have more people in here. Yeah, so that's great. Really lovely that people are tuning in from all over the world. So 180 of us. So all we need to do is just open up to that fact, connect with each other, really wish the Mitras to be well. You'll see somebody, you'll see 10 people becoming a Mitra, becoming a Buddhist tonight. Just saying publicly, I'm a Buddhist and I'm practicing Buddhism within the tradition of the Triratna Buddhist order and movement. So it's a really special moment for them in their life and a really special moment for all of us, wherever we are, in New York, in Virginia, in India, in Bethnal Green, wherever we are, a really wonderful moment for us to witness that. So let's just settle down. So make yourself comfortable. We're going to dim the lights down here in the shrine room, and you might want to dim your computer, or this would be a moment to put flux on, if you've got that. I've only recently got it myself, but now I can say the word flux, and I sort of know what I'm talking about. So yeah, just dimming your screen. So see if you can sit in your chair. We're just going to have a very short, not really meditation, just a moment to collect ourselves before the ritual. So when you're ready, closing your eyes. As soon as you've closed your eyes, just bring your attention into your body. So your mind might be all over the place, so often is, but your body is always here just now. The more you bring your awareness into your body, the more your mind quietens down, the more your whole system settles down, starts to settle down. And we're going to be witnessing Alex, Andrew, Britta, Gareth, Ian, Nigel, Philippa, Paul, Ruby, and Simon saying that they're a Buddhist and practicing with the Triratna Buddhist order and movement. So you can just imagine opening your hearts to them, even if you don't know them. We can just connect with each other just now, across time zones at least, and across space. The more that we can imagine that we're together, the more we are together. And let's just wish each other well, wherever we are. May we all be well. And may everyone we know be well, family and friends and loved ones. May everyone that they know be well. And these are difficult, uncertain times for so many people. So many different ways. A lot of pain in the world just now. And we can at least open our heart to that, open our mind to that, and wish all beings well. Now I'm going to ask Maitreyabandhu to read a short verse, which is a profound verse of wisdom, the heart of the Dharma, from an ancient sutra called the Diamond Sutra.
As stars, a fault of vision, as a lamp, a mock show, dewdrops or a bubble, a dream, a lightning flash or cloud. So should one view what is conditioned.
Sevenfold puja and Mitra ceremonies. So if you'd like to say after me, first of all, salutation. As many atoms as there are, in the 1,000,000,000 worlds, so many times I make reverent salutation. To all the Buddhas of the 3 eras. To the Sudhamma. And to the excellent community. I pay homage to all the shrines. And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been. I make profound obeisance to the teachers. And those to whom respectful salutation is due. Well, that was interesting. I got that wrong. I started with the second verse instead of the first verse, which is the first time I've ever done that. So let's say that's auspicious. And, and that's not even a technical fault. That is a human fault. Anyway, so let's start again. But we're going to do the Sevenfold Buddha in a slightly different order today, because it's the first time that we've had virtual Mitra ceremonies. Some of the Mitras were concerned that were concerned they might get it wrong, so they didn't worry because I've done it for them. Yeah. Okay, so starting again. Firstly, worship. With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
With all flowers pleasing and fragrant.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
And with garlands skillfully woven.
I pay honor to the princes of the sages.
I pay honor to the princes of the sages.
So worthy of veneration.
So worthy of veneration.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
I envelop them in clouds of incense.
sweet and penetrating.
sweet and penetrating.
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft,
I make them offerings of food, hard and soft,
and pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
and pleasing kinds of liquids to drink.
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels,
I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels,
festooned with golden lotus.
festooned with golden lotus.
On the paving, sprinkled with perfume,
On the paving sprinkled with perfume,
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
And secondly, for the second time, salutation. You can never salute enough. Yeah? Salutation. As many atoms as there are.
As many atoms as there are.
In the 1,000 million worlds.
In the 1,000 million worlds.
So many times I make a reverent salutation.
So many times I make reverent salutation.
To all the Buddhas of the three eras.
To all the Buddhas of the three eras.
To the Dharma.
To the Dharma.
And to the excellent community.
And to the excellent community.
I pay homage to all the shrines.
I pay homage to all the shrines.
And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
And places in which the Bodhisattvas have been.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
I make profound obeisance to the teachers.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
And those to whom respectful salutation is due.
And now thirdly, we're going to recite the Going for Refuge, after which we'll have the Mitra seminars. And the Going for Refuge communicates the central Buddhist act is that you go for refuge. You try to, as Suryagupta was saying, become a force of good for the world, for yourself and for the world. And the Buddhist language of that is, we go for refuge. So after me, everyone. Going for refuge. This very day, I go for my refuge.
I go for my refuge.
To the powerful protectors.
To the powerful protectors.
Whose purpose is to guard the universe.
Whose purpose is to guard the universe.
The mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere.
The mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere.
Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge.
Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge.
In the Dharma they have ascertained.
In the Dharma they have ascertained.
Which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
Which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth.
Likewise, in the host of bodhisattvas,
Likewise, in the host of bodhisattvas,
I take my refuge.
I take my refuge.
And now I'm going to hand over to Suryagupta.
Thank you, Maitreyabandhu. So this is the moment. This is the moment where our 10 Mitras to be will each step up to the shrine and make the 3 traditional offerings to the shrine. And they'll go up one by one. I'll call them up one by one. They'll do the 3 traditional offerings and sit back one by one. And at the end, that marks them all becoming, having become Mitras, having declared themselves Buddhist to the world, to themselves, to those of us here, and to the world. So we're going to start with Alex, and Alex is going to come up and offer the 3 traditional offerings: a candle, which represents the Buddha, enlightenment; the flower that represents the Dharma, the teachings, the truth; and then the incense that represents the Sangha. So Alex. Thank you, Alex. And it was lovely, Alex, going up there. And I think as each person goes up, we can be sending them well wishing, yeah, just bearing them, everyone in mind. So now we have Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. And Britta. And as just remembering that when they make the offerings, they're offering to the Buddha, but also to their own potential for enlightenment. Thank you, Britta. So then we have Gareth. And as Gareth goes up, we can really imaginatively connect with what it feels like to make a commitment, what it feels like to make that step towards, development. So Gareth. Thank you, Gareth. And then we have Ian. So Ian's going to be offering the candle, flower and incense. And just so you know, the candles are white The flowers are long stemmed daisies. Thank you, Ian. And now we have Nigel coming up, making the 3 traditional offerings. And the tradition around the whole world. This. Thank you. And now we have Philippa. Thank you, Philippa. And then we have Paul. Yeah. Continually sending metta, sending loving kindness to all our mitras and mitras to be. Thank you, Paul. Great. And Ruby. Great. And lastly, Simon. Thank you. So as Simon sits down, you'll see the shrine, and it's there's a bowl of candles ablaze at the shrine, representing light, dispelling ignorance, dispelling what causes us suffering. You have the vase of long stem flowers, representing the truth, the beauty of the truth of impermanence. And then you have incense wafting through the shrine room, representing the sort of positive atmosphere that the spiritual community, those who share positive Buddhist values, what we do, what it feels like when we're in community together, and when we're inspired by those more developed than ourselves. So we have 10 people who have made that commitment, taking a very simple steps to the shrine, to the shrine, to make their offering. It's a very simple ceremony, but very deeply significant. Each of those steps, each of them have taken to the shrine today, really represents so much effort, practice, a lot of reflection, a lot of communication, connection. We've all heard parts of their journey. It's very moving to have made this step today. So, Alex, Andrew, Britta, Gareth, Ian, Nigel, Philippa, Paul, Ruby, Simon, you are all now Mitras. On behalf of Triratna, all the chairs of Triratna centres, on behalf of the order, we are welcoming you as Mitras to the Triratna Buddhist community. You'll be welcomed wherever you go as friends of Triratna and as Buddhists. And I want to just wish you well and congratulate you for taking this very significant step. And may the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all the community support you in your journey from here. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Suryagupta. We now have 10 new Mitras. Isn't that wonderful? The newest Mitras in the Triratna Buddhist order and movement. Very brightest, shiniest Mitras. And we're going to now chant the 3 refuges and precepts in call and response. It's in Pali, an ancient Indian language. And this will be the first time the 10 new Mitras are going to be chanting those as Mitras. So it's a very, very important moment in their life. And as I said right at the start, this is the first time we've ever done a virtual Mitra ceremony. This was unimaginable even a year ago. So what a thing to celebrate, that 10 people have become Buddhists today, and they're going to be expressing, the first thing they're going to do to express that is chant the refuges and precepts in this ancient Buddhist language that goes back 2,500 years all the way to the Buddha himself. So if everyone can recite after me. Namo tassa. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa. Namo tassa. Bhagavato arahato. Bhagavato arahato. Samma sambuddhassa. Samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Good. So you've all now recited the Going for Refuge. So that's really, really good. You've honoured the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So that's just what we should be doing. That's great. So now we're going to be chanting together the 5 great precepts of Buddhism. First of all in Pali, everybody together, all of you at home and our 10 new Mitras, everyone together after me, and then the positive precepts are called in English. So, Panatipata, Panatipata, Veramani, Sikkhapadam, Samadhiyami, Hadinadana, Veramani, Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Suramerya Maja Amadatana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness, clear and radiant, I purify my mind. Good, well done everyone. So having recited the 5 precepts, both in the negative form, the what we're abstaining from and what we're committing ourselves to, what we're really trying to move towards is practicing those 5 precepts, those 5 vital human values. We can now confess faults, and confession of faults, as you all know, and some of you know watching, is just saying, actually, I don't always live up to those 5 precepts. I don't, you don't, I don't know, perhaps you all do, yeah. But we're just saying, quite saying, oh, well, I don't live up to it always. I make mistakes, I get it wrong, but I'm just going to admit that. I'm just going to confess that. And then after that, we can rejoice. Yeah? So, after me. Confession of faults. The evil that I have heaped up through my ignorance and foolishness. Evil in the world of everyday experience. As well as evil in understanding and intelligence. All that I acknowledge to the protectors. Standing before them. With hands raised in reverence. And terrified of suffering. I pay salutations again and again. May the leaders receive this kindly. Just as it is with its many faults. What is not good, O protectors, I shall not do again. So good, you've confessed, we've all confessed our faults. And sometimes people worry a bit that word evil. That's the moment where people didn't know that. But that's from the point of view of enlightenment. Even our ordinary, shortcomings, they're just such a shame. There's so much more to us than we realize. So it's just saying from that perspective, do you know what? That we're missing out on so much. So because we've done that, we've all done that, all of us together across the world, And because we've all pledged ourselves again to that, and especially our new Mitras, we can rejoice. We can rejoice in the merits of all beings. So after me, rejoicing in merit. I rejoice with delight.
I rejoice with delight
In the good done by all beings,
in the good done by all beings,
through which they obtain rest,
through which they obtain rest,
with the end of suffering.
with the end of suffering.
May those who have suffered be happy.
May those who have suffered be happy.
I rejoice in the release of beings
I rejoice in the release of beings
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
from the sufferings of the rounds of existence.
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva
and the Buddha,
and the Buddha,
who are protectors.
who are protectors.
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment
and the teaching,
and the teaching,
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings
those oceans that bring happiness to all beings,
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
and are the abode of welfare of all beings.
And because we've done that, because we've rejoiced in our own merits and in the merits of all beings, we've remembered how much good there is in people. So easy, isn't it, to, I don't know, sort of remember how terrible human beings can be, and they can be, but we've also got incredible good in all of us, and we can rejoice in that and remember that. And because of that, we're now all of us online and all of us in the room, we can now ask for a teaching from the Buddha. And if we ask for a teaching from the Buddha, we'll get a teaching from the Buddha. Yeah? So we're going to ask for a teaching. Entreaty and supplication. Saluting them with folded hands.
Saluting them with folded hands,
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma.
May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma
For those wandering in the suffering of delusion.
for those wandering in suffering of delusion.
With hands folded in reverence,
With hands folded in reverence,
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana.
May they remain here for endless ages,
May they remain here for endless ages,
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
so that life in this world does not grow dark.
As stars, a fault of vision, as a lamp, a mock show, dewdrops or a bubble, a dream, a lightning flash or cloud. So should one view what is conditioned.
And so now we're going to recite together the Heart Sutra, the very heart of Buddhist wisdom. And this isn't in call and response. And I think that's because none of us are in a position to do this in call and response. The only person that could do this in call and response is the Buddha. But he's not here. You just got me. So we're just going to do this in unison. So those of you who know this, you can do this in unison with us. If you don't know, you can just listen. And probably won't make sense. This is it's the profoundest wisdom. It won't make reasonable sense. What we need to do is just open ourselves to it. It's as close as you can get to describing the nature of reality. We're going to do this, as I said, in unison. The Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, Form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness no other than form. Form is only emptiness. Emptiness only form. Feeling, thought, and choice, consciousness itself, are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought, or choice, nor is there consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing. No ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain or cause of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain. Not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed from delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharma, the radiant peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhiswaha. So in an ideal puja, we would have gained enlightenment because we've heard the Buddha's words. So in an ideal puja, and probably this isn't an ideal, but in an ideal puja, we'd become enlightened. So all we'd want now is the benefit of all beings. Yeah, that's all we'd live for, the welfare of everyone. So we'll almost conclude our ritual this evening with our ritual with the transference of merit and self-surrender. So we've had 10 new mitras, and they're becoming mitras for the benefit of all beings, for the benefit of themselves, benefit of all beings. So let's recite after me, all of us, everybody in your home, wherever you are, and those of us here in the London Buddhist Centre, the transference of merit and self-surrender. May the merit gained in my acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. My personality throughout my existences. My possessions. And my merit in all three ways. I give up without regard to myself. For the benefit of all beings. Just as the earth and other elements are serviceable in many ways
are serviceable in many ways
to the infinite number of beings
to the infinite number of beings
inhabiting limitless space.
inhabiting limitless space.
So may I become
So may I become
that which maintains all beings,
that which maintains all beings,
situated throughout space,
situated throughout space,
so long as all have not attained
so long as all have not attained
to peace.
to peace.
As stars, a fault of vision, as a lamp, a mock show, dewdrops or a bubble, a dream, a lightning flash or cloud. So should one view what is conditioned.
Sabapapasa akararang kusalasa upasampada sachita paryadapanang etang buddhana sasanam tamang chare sucharitang natam ducharitang chare dhammachari sukham sati asmim loke paramicha natavata tamadaro yavata pahupasati yocheyapang pitsuvanam tamang kayena pasati ave dhamadaro otio nama namatamchuti nati me saranang hangyang buddho me saranang varang etena Satchavachaina Hotu me Jaya Mangalam Nati me Saranang Hangyang Dhammo me Saranang Varang Etena Satchavachaina Hotu me Jaya Mangalam Nati me Saranang Hangyang Sangho me Saranang Varang Etena Satchavachaina Hotu me Jaya Mangalam Namo Buddhaya Namo Dhammaya Namo Sanghaya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. So our very special ceremony, our Mitra ceremony, is almost over. Of course, really, it's the beginning of the 10 new Mitras, and the beginning of being a Mitra, but our ceremony, at least, is nearly over. And but we don't want to finish just yet. There's still a little bit more to do. So what I'm going to do in a moment, I'm going to stand up and bow to the shrine. And if you've got a shrine at home, this is another moment to bow to your own shrine, to salute your shrine, to touch your head to the ground if you can. And then I'm going to lead the new Mitras out and out into the courtyard. I hope, if it's not raining. If it is raining, we'll be all right, because that's a blessing as well. And we'll conclude our ritual and celebration out there. That's really wonderful. That's really wonderful. Thank you very much, Mark. Really beautiful. Thank you. And you can hear the rustling of all the cards and gifts. We've been having cards and gifts pouring into the centre. So they've all got a sort of goodie bag with all their cards and gifts and well-wishings. And there's been well-wishings pouring through the chat box. I can now say chat box almost like it's my natural language. So it's so lovely to celebrate you. We've put all the flags out. We've literally put the flags out for you. So really, really good. But there's one more thing we need to do, and we're only allowed to do this outside. And even those, the new Mitras, I'm afraid you can't do this because just to make sure. But up there, we've got Sakavati community. They all live together so they can cluster together. They can touch each other. They can even hug each other. I mean, they're like hugness. And then over there, we've got the women's community over here in Navakula, and they can touch each other. They can sit really close together. And what's more exciting still, they can shout if they so desire. So they can shout sadhu, and sadhu means fantastic. It means congratulations. It means bravo. It means yes. Yeah. But you have to do it really loud. We can't do it down here because we're following government guidelines. But even that, but they can shout. Yeah. So you, or the two communities, you're going to have to shout particularly loudly. So on your marks, shout now. Sadhu! 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 And Sanjay, our cameraman, is doing a kind of, it's going to his head a bit, this cameraman thing. Before we know, we're going to cut to a shot of a plane. You know, we're doing a close-in and a rose. Anyway, so that concludes our historic Mitra ceremony. We've had 10 new Mitras. Really, really congratulations to all of you. I hope it's been as important for you as it was for me and as it was for everyone who's become a Mitra. And we're going to sign off now. I'm going to ring the bell to say that's the end of the ceremony. And we're going to then just virtually hug each other, only virtually, you know, in that imaginative way that we're so used to. So I'm going to ring the bell to say say that this is the end of the ritual. So we'll just hear 3 bells to finish. Good. See you.